Good morning, Inkies. I hope you are well. Today I just want to play on my journal. I did the last video for you guys was the choose your own adventure journaling, and I always enjoy that, but I have so many little plates and tubs and things of paper. I have this cute little tea box that's got Alice in Wonderland on it that I've got filled with sort of odds and ends, and I kind of just want to work with my scraps. I want to work with my scraps today, whether that be in my journal making tipping cards, but I just want to do a couple of journal entries or like prepping pages and things and creating bits and pieces from, and I shouldn't just say it's just scraps, because this tray here has like heaps of those girl stickers that accidentally fell out of the bag and I couldn't be bothered trying to shove them back in, so they're all just on here. I've got odds and ends of photos that I haven't used. I've got bits and pieces of you know, paper and stuff like that. So I kind of just want to work with my pouches and little scrap stash that I've kind of accumulated. There's another one over here. I have multiple places where paper just ends up, and I want to start working with some of these plates and things to try and get stuff used, so I can decrease the amount of containers or the amount of stuff, paper, scraps, tidbits. Like I have, you know, bits of ripped up paper and things like that. So I'm wondering if I could sort of prep a few pages to get ready for just adding some journaling and some pens. I am going to do my very best to try and finish my insert in the month of July, like do a one insert for 1 month. So that's a lot of journaling. So we shall see. So there is where we left off, and I've been getting my journaling in and getting my words down, which is good, which is always good. But yeah, I want to have a few pages prepped so I can sit down overnight time when I'm on the couch with Hubs and winding down for the night, where I can just sort of talk about my feelings and stuff like that, because that's generally how it goes with my journaling, and I don't want to have like just blank pages. So I thought I might prep a few and sort of use this as a video idea, using your scraps and your bits and bobs to prep pages in your journal. I also will probably put a few odds and ends into my bullet journal, which is back here, just on some of the pages, even if that means just having, you know, little collages in the corner. I know that my journal, my bullet journal, is the most boringest thing to look at, but sometimes I like having just the odd end. This was a scrap that I had on my desk when I was tidying it up, so I just sort of stuck in there when I was testing that stamp, those sorts of things. So it's kind of a very laid back video for you guys to watch. I'm going to move that over here and bring my journal insert onto the table. But yeah, working with your scraps, and they are powerful little bits of paper that can really transform your space. Like I have obviously giant pieces of paper like this sort of that have just, you know, been hanging out. I've got bits and pieces from Happy Mail. I'm a patron of Mia Vibes, and so I have like all her little bits and pieces, and I've also purchased some of her paper party packs. So I do have quite a lot of, I just want to do some collage clusters basically, because I really want to prep some of my pages. Obviously I am still working out of my pencil case for One Book July, so paper and ephemera was always separate to that rule, but these are the supplies that I've got, which means my watercolor, if I want to add color to the pages, I've got these. And I also said that my paper artsy paints, which wouldn't fit in here, would be the paints that I used. So I've got those. I actually found a couple of my spares, so my light blue, and not my blush, but it must be the cherry blossom I found, and there was one other color, I think maybe the mushroom. I found two of my spares, like some of my other colors that had gone missing. So I've got all my colors to the right of me now. So yeah, I thought that this would be a nice way to sort of spend the afternoon. Got the kids home, school holidays still, but a very laid back sort of playing in my journal with scraps, because I believe that scraps are the answer to all your journal problems.
Standing underneath the lights, look into each other's eyes.
A lot of this is very self-explanatory. I am enjoying working with my little bits and pieces. I've even included some vintage fabric that I got in some of my ephemera packs that I received. I'm pretty sure from Mia. She included in some of the paper party packs, I feel, little squares of vintage fabric that I just fell head over heels in love with. And I wanted to just glue them into my journal. I like the fact that I was mixing textures, and it's not like I'm ever going to journal on top of this, but I definitely liked how it looked, and adding paper scraps on top of it to mix the textures.
To know the secret place for you and me. Let our minds be caught up in a dream.
There's no huge rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I just was pulling things out of the trays and all the little nooks and crannies that I have all these bits and pieces, and kind of pulled out things that I enjoyed the look of, and then tried to sit there and think, how would they look together? Do they work together? Do I need to add additional items to make things work together? Luckily for me, I have a very distinct color palette, so a lot of my scraps will work together 9 times out of 10 because they either have the same feel, the same color palette, the same sort of look to them. So whether it be like graphic and pink or florals and vintage, a lot of my stuff will go together. It's just having that sort of puzzle piece moment where you're trying to make all the bits fit together like a puzzle. And so that's probably my favorite part, is trying to grab all the scraps and put them together and make them tell a story, or make them give a certain emotion, a certain feeling. That's one of my favorite parts of collage, and I think that people either love that feeling or hate that feeling. I'm in the love category. I love making things work together. I like sitting there and trying different looks, different feelings, trying different elements together. Do they work? Do they not work? Sometimes a collage will take me a really long time because I'm trialing so many different elements, but that's the beauty of it for me. Trying to see what will look the best and what won't. It's all trial and error, but art is all about trial and error. It's all about making mistakes and discoveries and really just enjoying that process. I'm trying to use all the supplies that are in my pink pencil case, and obviously my paper artsy paints are part of that, even though they don't fit into my pencil case, and I managed to discover a couple of my colors that have gone missing. So I was really enjoying the fact that I could mix those into my things. And I've always talked about this, by adding the paint over the 2 pages so the colors spread into each other, so some of the paint actually goes onto my ephemera. That helps sort of bring them together and make them more unified in the journaling process. Then I decided to paint some papers. Because the paper artsy paint is so matte, it means that my ballpoint pens and stuff go over it nicely. I really wanted to add a whole heap of painterly feeling pages. Some of those looks are some of my favorite when I'm looking at Sabrina Ward Harrison stuff, and the all those sort of journal on top of other people's painted papers. I really love how they look. So I wanted to add some of mine, and of course I just used the same paper artsy paints, and I started cutting like little paper hearts out of some lined paper, and just using some of my photographs that have been either sitting around for a while or ones that I printed for this journaling stuff, because I just haven't been taking enough photos lately, and trying to make sure and remind myself to take more photos, and then when I have taken those photos, to actually get them into my journal to kind of remind myself, hey, things are going on around you, your kids are growing up, things are changing, you need to start documenting this and sort of get out of your own mind bubble. And sometimes as a mum, and as also as someone who suffers with depression, and it comes in waves, you kind of stop that documentation process because your mind can't get past all the darkness, basically. And when when I go through, from my experience, when I'm going through one of those times, a lot of my documentation of other stuff, the stuff that's happening in the here and now, it doesn't get documented, doesn't get written about, it doesn't get acknowledged because you're so busy fighting the demons and fighting for that darkness to clear in your mind, that things go and happen around you and you completely don't acknowledge it, you don't notice it. And it's really sad because there are some great moments that we as people who suffer with this miss out on. And so I have to constantly remind myself when I'm not feeling my best mentally, hey, there's still life going on around you. You need to start focusing on that to try and take your mind off the fact that you're fighting the demons in your head. So I've been constantly reminding myself this month, hey, get your phone out, take some photos, because I feel like I'm blinking and my kids have gotten another centimeter taller. I've got one kid going into menswear. I've got my daughter almost being able to fit into the smaller women's wear sizes. I feel like like time is just disappearing so very fast. Before I know it, I'm gonna be with John for almost 10 years, and it feels like a blip. It feels like a blip, and I don't want to miss anything, and I want to make sure that I'm doing my job as the family documenter. Even though it's not a job that's bestowed on me, it's something that I take very seriously, and I want to make sure that I'm capturing those moments, taking those photos, documenting that stuff, even when I'm not feeling my best, because if I don't do it, who will? It's just something that I feel really passionate about, and I don't want the stuff that ails me mentally to stop that documentation. So I've been really trying to push myself to take the photos even when I feel like a bag of crap. And I urge you to do the same thing, because those moments, once they're gone, they're gone. They're not going to come back. And those moments are what help us build that ladder, build that bridge back to normality. And that's the best advice I could possibly give you. I want to add a little bit of Japan into my journal pages, because obviously we are going in October and I am super excited and in that sort of daydream mode that you get in when you're looking forward to something. So this is all the stuff that I have sort of still in my Japan stuff from my trip. Oh, I haven't used that. That's the original. I might put that in my journal. I have all these beautiful Totoro postcards and some of the more traditional looking things. I may even put one of these in my bullet journal for my Japan collections. Maybe this one, because it is really beautiful, and postcards are something that I collected so much of while I was there. I loved all the beautiful Totoro watercolor ones, and obviously I can't use them all in my in my travel journal, but I want to use some of them. And I've obviously got like maps and things still. I mean, I haven't finished my journal, so I don't want to use too much. I've also got all this origami paper from a stationery selection box that I could probably use. Just looking through what I've got left over. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I've still got, oh, I have another sheet of these. Oh, good. I've been using these in my, I've been using these in my bullet journal for the dates. And I have been stamping on them. Just give me a sec, Boo. I'll be there in a minute. And using these for my little dates. I mean, I'm trying to use my stash, so, and I was running out and I was really sad because I actually really enjoyed using these because they were very simple and quick and easy. So they will go in there for later. Sethology, more postcards. Oh, I have some of these. Wow, I've got random stuff in here that I could use in my actual journal. These are the Johanna printables. She's got like stitched quilted tip-in cards, and I printed some of those. I bought the pack. Picture of hubby with his cufflinks that say, "If lost, please return to wife," that he got for Christmas off my mum. Just thinking, what can I use? I mean, postcard probably be the best idea since I have a surplus of them, quite a lot actually. fly to the world from Japan, maybe. I've got quite a lot of, I've still got so much stuff to still put into my travel journal, and I need to get it done soon because we leave in a couple of months. And I know a couple of months sounds like a really long time, but it's not. It's really not. Oh, I like that combination together. I don't know why some of this stuff is in here. Maybe I could put that extra photo in my journal. I think a postcard will go in there, I think, because I have so many and I'm okay with parting with those. Well, parting with them in a sense of like using it up. Maybe like the suitcase, maybe. I also have little Sailor Moon emoji stickers that I bought off Etsy. So I'm just gonna grab a few bits and pieces from this and then put the stuff back into my little pencil case. Oh, I have this little tip in too. So I think the suitcase one can go in there, and then I can juggle all this stuff back up. And I need to go check to see what Boo wanted, because she peeked her head into the studio, like I said, school holidays. And I might leave this one out for my collections for my bullet journal. So that way I can use up some of the things I've been hoarding in that and get my case that they're all in so that I don't lose them. I'll be doing this similar thing when I go back and collect ephemera. But I'm with the girls for the first week, so I want to try and do my best at doing some journaling on site as well. So we'll see how that goes. It might be easier with a week with girls that journal, maybe, or we will all just suck and be completely useless, and I'll be in the same predicament with all this journaling to do when I get back. But yeah, so I've got a couple of bits and pieces to work with. I'm enjoying the relaxed nature of getting these pages sort of prepped and done, and I know that I'm thinking about Japan because it's like in the back of my mind. So having a couple of things that are Japan feeling in my journal on a prepped pages will just trigger the memories and the feelings and get me writing about how I'm feeling about the upcoming trip. And it's something that I would generally write about anyway. And normally I don't write heaps of stuff that's linked to the photographs because of how I journal. Sometimes if it's a specific event, or if I'm doing a specific spread, the pictures will dictate what I write about. But generally in my journal, I kind of just go for how I'm feeling, and whether it links to the pictures or not, it doesn't really matter. I journal how I feel and just go about my days, really. But I'm enjoying getting these pages prepped in a really relaxed manner.
Gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. And I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of talking, the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade.
I loved the combination of using the matte paints and also then coming in with a different brush, a watercolor brush, and adding in some watercolor as well. And I used some of my blue and some of my indigo over the top of that blue paint while it was still a bit wet, and sort of mixed it in to get that mottled effect. I probably shouldn't have done that while the paint was still wet, because I'm worried that I stuffed around with my watercolor, but it's not the end of the world. It's only a half pan. I can definitely use water to clean it out if I did too much damage to it. But as you can see down there, the little darker blue shades is from watercolor, not paint.
Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day.
Good morning. It is the next day and I think I'm done creating pages for today. I've kind of already started journaling in those pages, so I've got these ones here. I will probably I'm enjoying the preppedness of them, where I can in the mornings when I've just woken up write a bit about what's on my mind. And I've got my other journals out because I want to have a little chat about sizes. Obviously this is, oh, there's my collection stuff that I need to get done today. This is the standard. It is where I started in my sort of public journaling, meaning that when I started sort of getting more popularity on YouTube, standard size was what I was known for. And I have like quite a few standard size inserts. And obviously I've done A5, I've doing a B6. I don't think I've never journaled properly in a B6 Slim. And maybe that'll be, you know, something that I do next year maybe. I know when I first met Sian, she was journaling exclusively in a B6 Slim, and it was so super cute. And it looks like it would be something really easy to hold in your hand. Kind of like the standard. I really do enjoy the feel of the standard in my hands. Now I journal differently, and I was thinking about this as I was prepping my pages and thinking about sort of sizes. So I thought to end the video I would have a little bit of a journal chat. And I feel like I've mentioned this before, or maybe when I was doing the journal flips for you guys, I think I was discussing sizes a little bit, but everyone likes a good journal chat, don't they? I know I do. I love talking about journals. Now when I'm in a standard size as opposed to an A5 and a B6, I tend to create what I guess you could call a collage cluster, like a cluster of things in certain areas. So adding like little bits and pieces into the corners of things. I never really tend to stretch out too far because a journal is still primarily something where I want to write and have writing in. So I try to have that room to write, and so I don't let my elements dominate my page unless I'm doing something, I think maybe in this one it is, where I am like here I'm making a visual feature, and I don't do that very often, and I always sort of add things to my pages in corners so that there is still room for writing. There are certain times when I've done features and stuff, but I always try and group things in small areas so that there's still a majority of the page there to write. This is one of my favorites that I started back in 5th of August, but I don't know the date. I want to say 2016, so a couple of years ago now. But this is still one of my very favorites. As it was coming along, I really enjoyed how it looks. I need to glue some things down, and I think I will probably come back and finish this journal because I still have, this is when I switched over to the A5, I think. I still have space in it to journal, and I want to like finish it properly. So there's still quite, you know, just over half a book of journaling to go. And I really love the 003, which is what these inserts are, so I have no problem switching back to this to finish it. But I've really enjoyed adding the smaller clustered areas as opposed to the A5 where you feel free and you've got like a stack of room. I would have large scale things on pages to take up the room because I always think is A5, you can go big or go home. There's so much room, there's so much space. Even if I had half a page filled with elements, there's still a whole nother page that is full of writing. So I spread out heaps in an A5. Let's see. So I had like huge tip ins and things and like big areas and stuff like that, I didn't mind having large scale things covering half my page. Sometimes I would still stick to the sides of things. Here, this one needs a cover. I need to give this one a cover. My poor MD. Yeah, my poor MD notebook that is feeling the burn. I would still do large scale things in here, but I generally would stick to the smaller stuff in here because I still wanted writing to be an issue. And I kind of did the same thing here with my B6 because there's still a little bit of room. Like in the start I would have things clustered around the corners, so I still had room around the sides. And I find it interesting as I go through the different sizes. I don't know how I'll cope with a B6 Slim. I'd like to try it. I don't know if I could do my journaling in a passport size, where writing is still part of it. Like I've done my little art journal in the passport size, but when it comes to the writing, I need my space. So I just find it so interesting how you adapt your style based on your size of your journal. So when I'm coming for my standard, when I'm prepping my pages, I'm making sure that there's still room for journaling, and these sorts of things I put here to use with my date stamper. I kind of have sections where I can just stamp the date because I want to be better at dating, especially because none of my stuff is linked mainly to events. So I'm just been putting dates with my little mini data there. Do you journal differently when it comes to your size? Do you tend to do, if you have a smaller journal, do you tend to do less creative work in it, or do you feel like a bigger journal gives you the freedom to sort of create whatever you want without restrictions? And I find it interesting that I still really enjoy this size as a standard, and I know that people use smaller journals to feel that sense of completion, and that's probably one of my biggest tips for you. If you are in a bit of a journal funk and you've been trucking along with the same journal forever and ever and ever, put it aside, put a pause on it, and pick up something like a standard or a B6 Slim, and not a thick insert, a nice thin one that you can knock over and give yourself that momentum of finishing something. And that was one thing that I loved with the standard, was that I could generally get through an insert rather quickly with all my ephemera, my pictures, my drawings, and my writing, and it gave me that feeling. I mean, I know there's people out there that are like crazy on like volume 5,000,012. I'm not like that. I still really value having quality stuff in my journals. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people that have so many journals are not writing quality. No, don't twist those words around. But I do think that having the smaller and thinner inserts is a great way to help you keep journaling. Sometimes when you have the thicker books like the Tomoe River paper, although they look amazing finished and the paper is beautiful, sometimes that thick insert really can stagnate how you finish, or if you even finish, because you're like, oh, I just want that new journal feeling. I want, you know, to start over. I'm so sick of lugging this brick around. So I think there's space in the journal world for these guys to help you climb out of a rut. And if you're a standard girl, which I definitely was, this could be your bread and butter no matter what. But I really do think that these do help you feel more, what's the word, not proficient, not prolific, but they just help you get that I'm on a roll, I want to keep doing this, I'm seeing results kind of thing. And not that a journal should be about results, but finishing a journal is one of the most satisfying feelings I have ever felt when it comes to creating. And I know there are a lot of you guys that feel exactly the same way. When you finish a planner, when you finish a bullet journal, when you finish a journal, you just feel that sense of pride that you got to the end. And I think sometimes when we get ourselves into those journal ruts where we don't journal for so long, or we're just looking at the same giant thick brick of a book and go, it's like the never-ending story. I think there is a place for these to help you sort of claw out of that feeling and get you motivated to journal. And that's just my feelings. I know that I have really enjoyed sort of filling up this little guy, and it was the same with my passport. My passport was so small and dinky, and I was like, you know, powering through those pages. I honestly think that if you're in a rut, that you should, you know, downsize just a little bit, put your big journal aside. It's not going anywhere. You can always go back to it. Obviously I'm in One Book July, so my B6, my Hobonichi and everything's on pause. Well, my Hobonichi's forever on pause. What am I talking about? But I do think that if I was feeling stagnant in my journaling, I could definitely put it aside and pick up either a B6 Slim or a Standard and sort of try and get my groove back. Changing it up when you're in a rut is definitely one of the mantras I'm going to chant at you for eternity, because I do think that changing things up will help you get more, will help reignite a dull spark. But that doesn't mean like change it up every 2 seconds, because you'll never get anywhere and you'll feel more scattered than anything. But I've really enjoyed sort of putting aside all my other bits and pieces to focus on the one book thing, and I think that is very much one of the essences of One Book July, is to pour all your focus into one thing so you are not feeling so scattered. And I think that is something that we tend to do as people. We tend to have our attention on so many projects, and I know for one that I'm not the kind of person that can cope with having my brain scattered across this and this and this and this. So One Book July has always been something that I've enjoyed, even though I haven't participated every year. Having all your thoughts and feelings under one roof is definitely a help more than it is a hindrance. So I'll probably talk a little bit more about that concept in the One Book July video that I'm going to be filming in the next couple of days. And oh, my one book is not that filled in, because I am generally just plugging away at filming my videos and getting my work done. I haven't done my collections yet. The girls come over tomorrow for an art day, so I might do some work in my collections and maybe get the lovely Sian to letter me some titles, because I shouldn't be getting caught up in the pretty of it, but I'd really like a nice title at least. I've got my postcard for my Japan planning, but that's pretty much as far as I got. And I've started with my planning for the day and things like that, but I haven't gotten any further. And I'm okay with that, because I'm not rushing things. It's not, you know, not here nor there. We're not in a race. We're just, you know, here to participate and to enjoy. So I hope you've enjoyed me watching me prep with some scrappy bits and pieces. I'll probably continue to do a few more of these spreads, and I'll put them into a studio vlog for you so you can see a bit more. But I really love this tip in. I keep looking at it, and for some reason I just love the whole little moon and Sabrina Ward Harrison's word, and I just all like it. And I'm so glad that I found the original, because I really liked this tip in. It was in the Japan zipper case. But yeah, we're slowly getting there. I think I want to do a bit more painting. So maybe not painting, but like maybe a creature or something. But yeah, I will pop it into the studio vlog for you. But I thought I'd just have a little bit of a journal chat about sizes and helping you if you're in a bit of a journal rut on how you can sort of get yourself out and maybe change your sizing. If you're doing One Book July, don't change your size now. But if you know you're not participating and you're feeling a bit unmotivated, not feeling very creative, then try a different size journal. Put your other things aside, pick up something new, or repurpose something like I did with my A5. You can always cut down your A5 notebooks to suit your sizes, and just give it a go. I really enjoy the standard size a lot, and I think that if I was to go to a B6 Slim, that also fits in here. So I would probably put my B6 Slim inside this cover, because I'm really loving my OG brown, and I can't wait to travel with her. So I probably, if I was to switch to a B6 Slim, would put it inside here, because my bullet journal is standard size, and I picked a thick one for that purpose of it being something that would last me quite a while. Anyway, I hope you have a fabulous weekend. I want to see some of your scrappy journaling. I want to see you use some of your bits and pieces. Maybe I'll put a thread in the Facebook group for us to show off your scrappy journal pages. I want to see your little collage clusters and see how you interpret using all your little bits and pieces of paper, because I still have I didn't really make a dent actually. I probably could be doing these journal pages, these prep journal pages for eternity, and I definitely do need a couple more spreads in here to make a bit more of a dent. But for now, that is going to be it for your video, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Psych! I actually sat down and made one more spread in my journal because I had all this pink stuff on my desk and it was calling to me, so I decided to just flip that camera on and do a little bit more of a spread in my journal just to sort of end the video. I was like, oh, maybe I should put this in a studio vlog. I'm literally doing the same thing, but I did a pink version where I added some pink papers. That tipping card that I created with the Japanese flag and the Sailor Moon didn't actually make it into my journal, so I wanted to get it into a spread before it got lost amongst the piles of paper, like things do. Sometimes I lose things very quickly and very easily, but I really liked how the pink spread came out, so I thought I would just show you guys it anyway, because it's pink. Everyone loves pink, don't they? I do. I'm obsessed. But this is one of my favorite little spreads in my journal, maybe because it's pink. Who knows? But I also used a couple of images from a Curvy magazine that I picked up at an op shop. Every now and again, Curvy is a magazine of women illustrators and artists that sort of put forth work and it gets featured. And I've actually been to the not like a gallery show, but like an exhibition where some of the artists had their work featured, and that was really pretty. And they had like books that you can get. I'm not sure when they come out, but this one I found at an op shop for like $2, so I don't even know how old it is, but I love some of the images in it. And because this is my journal and I'm not using it for any collage sheets or anything like that, I just added some of the artwork to the journal page spread. I used some of the clean color markers that I had in my pencil case, as you saw, to sort of water down, and then added some of that pink paint in the different shades, and then also splattered some of that fluoro paint and adding the watercolor into the wet matte paint. Like I did before with the blue, I decided to add some of the fluoro pink because that color is so bold, and I love how it just pops. And this is one of the images that was from the Curvy magazine, and I've used some of the pink paper that I got in a stationery selection box, and that is pretty much it. So that is where I'm going to end it. So I hope you have a fabulous day, guys, and I'll see you soon.